Hello and welcome to the G3 podcast sponsored by Lean On. Joining me today are two of Bede Gaming's finest. We've got Dan Whiteley, the Chief Technology Officer, and Jess Mars, VP Product Marketing. So thank you very much both for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
So the main basis of our chat today will be mostly on product and platform talk. But firstly, going to have to start there. How was ICE for you? Jessica, do you want to kick us off? What was the kind of general feedback from clients, both new and potential?
Yeah, ICE was great. So we, with the relocation, there was a lot of anticipation around how it's going to go with it being in Barcelona now this year. From our perspective, we sent over a team of 6, part of our wider Mercury Group stand, and it was great. I think it kind of brought a new buzz around the event as well, the new excitement of, the anticipation of how it is going to go with it being in the new venue across in Barcelona. From our perspective, it's always a fantastic event to start the year. We have a couple of our customers attend every year, so it's great to touch base with them. And, people really value the face-to-face time, especially us with our customers and our third-party partnerships that we have. And it was fantastic just to kind of explore new opportunities as well from my perspective and the teams, learn more about some of the other third parties and what people are really focusing on across kind of the rest of 2025 and how we can really level up our perspective as well from Bede and going forward also.
It's great to have you both on because obviously we've got the product marketing side and the technology side, and you unveiled this new app. And so Dan, we'll move to you and go back to Jess on this point. How significant addition is the new app to the company's portfolio and more importantly to the tool set of your operator clients?
Yeah, so it's really exciting that we're launching the new app. What we bring into the market is, and specifically the German market, first off, is that we've got this brand new white label app. So kind of out of the box, you get all of the key features from the core Bede platform, and then being able to surface that content, games, etc. Improve player experience back to the end customer or the end player. And through that, obviously, we because of how we've architected the new app, we use a single code base, so we use React Native, so we don't have to maintain multiple code bases, so we can run a lot leaner, quicker, improve time to market. So, and the aim here is that we can give our customers something that is just out of the box, not plug and play direct, right? We still need to configure and tailor, but we can do that really, really quickly. So there's high levels of personalization that we can achieve with the new app. And then because we're on brand new tech, effectively, there's none of that overhead in terms of legacy or tech debt. So change is rapid, yet you can still customize where we need to for those specific customer needs. So it's a really exciting launch for us. Really proud of the team in terms of what they've brought to the table and the tech, it's fun, right? Building new tech. So.
Yeah, I mean, from a product perspective, from Bede's side, we've always developed front end the websites as well for some of our customers where that's required. So adding the ability to develop mobile apps for them just marries up with the shift that we're seeing in player preferences. If you look at various different industries outside of iGaming, a lot of it is shifting towards having apps for various different kind of products and services. And we're naturally moving into that within iGaming with kind of the younger demographic also. So having that available in-house just allows us to really position ourselves as a full service platform provider across various different channels. So the platform, the front end, website wise, and then also app now. So it really allows us from a product perspective to showcase the type of exciting products that we are building and testing and developing and positioning that from an app perspective also.
So Dan, without kind of overwhelming me with complexity, because I'm sure it is incredibly complex, just from that technical standpoint, could you walk me through the process of kind of implementing what I believe is kind of over 100 technology components into an app that works across any kind of iPhone, Android device, tablet? Yeah. How long did that take? How many people worked on it? And what were the difficulties involved?
Okay, well, yeah. So there's a lot of complexity when you kind of bring in all those different components together. We're starting from a good baseline with the core Bede platform, because a lot of these underlying components are stitched into the core Bede platform. What we're doing with the app is then layering that mobile app on top of our Bede platforms. We have a suite of APIs where we can then, and these are modern API architecture. So we can integrate those APIs endpoints into our front end. So in this case, a mobile app. So a lot of the pain around having to kind of bring that to the surface has already been dealt with the core B platform. So that was a quick win for us in that respect. And then really we could focus the team, and we had a couple of squads, a couple of teams working on building out the new mobile app capability. So you can really focus on, there's obviously from a player experience, a kind of a look and feel, like how do we whitelist this? How do we then build our app into, content management systems like Adobe, so we can pull that real-time content in? And how do we package that up so that, yes, we can leverage all the kind of the nuts and bolts that sit behind it, but because of how we've architected our systems, a lot of that complexity has been hidden away in the back end, allowing us to focus on purely the app and how that should function and feel for the end customer. And then the whole thing's probably taken us, we work in Agile, so we can release value every 2 weeks, which is great, and we get that feedback loop. We work closely with our end customers in terms of getting that feedback. So the whole process end to end has probably taken us about 6 months, but we were delivering value kind of from the get-go. So it's kind of that iterative development in terms of bringing to life, we might take what we call like a steel thread through in terms of picking a customer journey and working that through, and then layering that up and building on that and evolving the features as we go.
I understand that neither of you are kind of in the compliance team, but the app is certified by both Apple and Google for the German market.
Right.
So,
Yes.
So what were I'll leave it to both of you to decide who's best placed to answer this. What are the challenges kind of in receiving certification for such an app in different jurisdictions, and why pick Germany first?
Germany first, and Jess will probably correct me on some of these things, but Germany first. Obviously, we've got our parent company, Merker.com, and they're a big German organization. We're a subsidiary. So we have a lot of customers in the German market. So it makes sense that, we can focus on the German market initially. And then in terms of kind of the challenges around compliance, obviously there's complexities around, what features are available, and then, geo compliance. So, I can't use an app outside certain geographic borders. So we have partners who kind of specialize in geolocation. So when you have to whitelist an app and get it certified by Apple, those testers from Apple are sitting potentially anywhere in the world. So we have things like where we can provide test accounts, where we whitelist their access, so that for all intents and purposes it feels like they're in Germany, but they're not. We effectively can allow them to bypass those checks in a test only mode, but that allows them to certify those aspects. So it's a combination of like how we set the system, our compliance security controls, our geo providers in this space. And it's never plain sailing, as we know, but we kind of get there in the end. I guess, Jess, is there anything else you wanted to add further on that?
Yeah, I think just kind of from our past experience, from a platform perspective as well, we operate in some of the world's heaviest regulated markets, like the UK and Germany, and Ontario, and a couple, just to name a few. And part of that certification process allowed us to kind of really adopt some best practices for getting certified with the app as well. We've got quite a highly experienced team at Bede that are used to these stringent certification processes. It's very intricate, different details, especially even Apple versus Google. Some of the requirements were very different. So we were kind of really prepared from our perspective on the effort that it would take to get certified, and, working with those partners that we have integrated for the likes of geolocation, for the likes of casino content. There's different requirements around Apple for the various different ways in which you can provide casino content to your players via the app. So we were well prepared, I would say, from our perspective, and it allowed us to really ensure we had as smooth a process as certifications can be.
And Dan, another product development at ICE was I don't think it was the actual launch, but I believe it was the preview of the new dynamic segments tool.
Yeah.
So what's that about, and what use cases does it have for player segmentation in particular?
Yeah, it's great question, and it's a really, I guess, interesting area in innovation within our space in terms of like how do we do more with the data that we hold, and then how do we make it easier for an end customer. So one of our customers, where they have like a team of marketeers, etc., they need to be able to kind of dig into this data and effectively slice and dice it, and then couple that with kind of real time events, so that they can formulate really tailored and customized promotions and campaigns. And this is all in the banner of like that kind of end player engagement, end player experience, and then crucially relevancy, of offer, and then making sure that obviously, we're compliant, and all those things. So it's kind of the aggregation of all of those different data points, which you can imagine with, we have, thousands of different data points. Like, how do we bring that together? How do we surface that into something that's really consumable and easy to use by an end customer, so that they can just go, and we call it dynamic segments, so they can just pull these data points together to effectively build a cohort of players that, right, I would like to issue that, run that campaign against. So that could be, we're running some promos or even tailored promotions for those individual players. Because it's really exciting. There's a lot of technical work involved in there. And then from a longer term roadmap, I really pushing kind of how we then leverage sort of, aspects of artificial intelligence and machine learning around that kind of dynamic segment. So I want to, make the data more conversational in terms of, I internally will talk about how do I just talk to the database? Like how do I just, a bit like with the chat GPTs of the world, we can put a natural language human request in, and then all the complexities hidden away, and we can get something that's very relevant. So for me, that's all about making things easier for our end customer, driving, operational efficiencies, and then layering high levels of sort of, personalization and relevancy around that. So it's kind of the next evolution in what we do today in terms of our campaign management. And then we've got a fairly well thought out roadmap that's taken us well into the future.
And if we were to take a step back, so we discussed everything that's kind of new and shiny coming from Bede Gaming, but if you want to take a holistic view of the portfolio, Jess, I don't know if you want to come in here. What's your assessment of Bede Gaming's offering as a platform provider in a general sense?
Yeah, so I think from our perspective, what we really recognized from our discussions that we have with prospective kind of customers in various different markets is that they're looking for that flexibility in a platform and getting that real value add on a continuous basis. And where we see Bede kind of different from other more sort of legacy platforms, for example, in the industry, is that we have that open source platform. It's a single code base. They have access to all of our tools. We, from a product perspective, from being a kind of product background, we make sure that everything is configurable so that they can tailor it to the various different markets. So we release features every 2 weeks. So they're constantly getting that value add, and we're working with them from a product team side and demoing possibilities to them and really bringing that value as well from a expertise perspective, so that they can focus on their strategy and their kind of core offering from a promotional perspective. How do they manage their players better? How do they gamify that experience? And we're promoting our products from that side to them. And I would say from a kind of as a platform provider and as a kind of software provider, something that we really focus on as well is building great partnerships with our customers. I think in some other cases, for example, some customers maybe feel kind of less heard from various different platform providers, but with us, in our way that we adapt our target operating model, we really look to work and mold our kind of processes to suit their particular needs as a customer, and working with them to really understand their core ambitions and how can we develop our product roadmap around the industry, around their markets that we're working with our customers and how they operate. So I'd say those are some of the key things that we really like to promote from our perspective, and what our customers currently have found effective working with us, and are really enjoying that aspect of the flexibility of the platform, the scalability of it as well from a technical perspective, and how we work with them and adapt our approach to suit their ways of working also.
And Dan, kind of from that infrastructure and security perspective, how do you see Bede's offering relative to what's out there? I don't expect to go into detail about kind of the ultra competitive landscape and going into specifics, but just generally, where would you say the scope for improvement?
Okay, so I think from a core tech infrastructure point of view, so we're built on a modern tech stack. So there is, there's always a little bit of tech debt, right? But we're not built on kind of legacy. We've got modern architecture. So we use an event-driven microservices architecture. So we get all the benefits around that architecture in terms of, our components are loosely coupled. We can make change quickly. We have, high levels of resiliency, and crucially, we can scale. And then, our platform has been designed from the ground up as well in terms of scale and performance, and crucially security. Security is often thought of as a bit of an afterthought. kind of built into the core platform. We're cloud native by default, so Microsoft is our partner here in terms of how we host and deliver our services. Now, and that's great because what it's done is allowed us to kind of leverage all the benefits of cloud. And from a scale and performance, it means we can kind of run at a base level. But when we get, if there's a large event or, there's, a big ticketing opportunity that's happening, we can then scale up. So we're using modern technologies like Kubernetes to assist us with that. And then we're also leveraging some of the best open source, open standards databases on the market. So, database technologies like MongoDB, starting to use more Postgres in terms of like how do we leverage the benefits of those modern data stacks, but they also are crucially cost efficient because it's great to have a high performing infrastructure, but if it's coming at a price tag that is premium, often for a lot of our customers that's a challenge. So our goals in terms of what we're doing from a tech strategy are really around how do we deliver a performant, highly available service, always on, fault tolerant, but at the best possible price point. And that's a combination of how we set up our architecture, the underlying technology that we're using. But ultimately, we've got a very resilient infrastructure and set of services. And then from an InfoSec cyber point of view, again, there's layers of protection around, our systems. And again, so that allows us to kind of have a fairly robust security posture out there in the market. And, our end customers benefit from that because we're kind of secure by design. And, with the ever-changing threat landscape as well, it's something that is, high on the agenda. It's not a tertiary thought here. It's kind of primary and secondary in our mindset. Everything in terms of when we write a line of code to, when we deploy that, how we protecting that customer and player data.
And to what extent would you say the roadmap is driven by kind of your own in-house innovation? You're assessing the landscape and going, okay, this is the direction we need to take, say, the platform, versus a client. Just touched before on the fact that you're releasing updates every 2 weeks. Clients, pretty impressive.
So we have a regular release cadence in terms of features, and we strike, I think, a good balance between sort of client work in terms of or customer work where there's specific needs that are required, but it's around how do we kind of leverage that and weave that into the wider product, because that's going to be useful for them. And inversely, we get the flip of that. We have our own product roadmap. We have our own ideas in terms of the needs of the market. How can we touched on the dynamic segments, like how do we kind of make better use of the data? How do we make the end customer's life easier? How do we improve the player experience with better personalization, or how do we provide better insight in terms of churn rates, etc. So we have a very strong view in terms of that. And B, we have a very capable group of people within the organization, our product managers who are thinking about this stuff, from whether it's payments to compliance to kind of games or end player experience. So we have our own roadmaps, and we'll share that and share aspects of that with our customers. So we're getting the best out of both worlds, like how we drive our product forward, but also crucially that input from our specific customers, their pain points, their challenges. But the overall platform then is benefiting from those different angles in terms of the collective product roadmap.
And we're happily just checking now. So we're recording this on the 30th of January, so I can just about get away with this final question, which is kind of about your roadmap for 2025. One for the both of you. Is this already kind of set in stone? Are you already looking into 2026? Do you know what you're doing in each quarter? What's the plan?
So I'll let Jess lead from a product point of view, but yes, we have a very strong 2025 and 2026 outlook in terms of our roadmap and our ambition. I'll let Jess kind of cover some of the key product aspects. We've talked a little bit about that. I can cover some of the technical data stuff, the less exciting stuff, but it's still important. So
yeah, I'll go first with the product because I'm very excited about some of the things we've got upcoming. So this year for us, it's really focused around how we gamify and kind of diversify the personalization elements on our platform. So we've obviously mentioned dynamic segments. That's just the first initial phase. We've got a full suite of new enhancements building on that, kind of getting that active feedback and iterating on that product and improving that throughout the rest of 2025. I'm really excited to go to the other various trade shows this year to start to continue to demo it even further and show, this is the progress that we're making around that. Some other areas that we're focused on from a product perspective this year, we are nearly finished our development to launch the first iteration of a tournaments and leaderboards tool. So that's going to be an in-house product that allows you to set up various different tournaments and competition-based games for players across multiple game providers. Some of the restrictions that we found from kind of doing our market research and working with our customers is that they're quite restricted to per provider promotional tools, whereas we've now combined that on our platform and allowing our customers to offer across different game providers so they can really tailor and personalize the various games for their tournaments for players. And I suppose another key topic, which was something that was really focused on at ICE as well and has been for the last year also, was around player health. So we're looking at how we can really, like Dan mentioned, leverage that data that we have around our players and around kind of their attributes that display kind of problematic gambling. What can we do around that to make sure that we are automatically intervening, or our customers are intervening to their players at the right time and giving them the right level of support so that it's not a deterrent also. So we're looking at how we build that out in 2025. And that's going to be a really kind of interesting how we get kind of that understanding of what AI can do alongside our existing data and making sure that we can really make it configurable, because each market and each kind of player preferences are very different across different markets also. So looking at how we can build on that. I think those are the key ones that we've got this year. Obviously, we look at kind of expanding our partnerships where we're constantly integrating with new providers across payments, KYC, game providers, lottery, sports, we've got all the various verticals as well. So that's kind of BAU for us from a product roadmap perspective, obviously. But from that side, we have kind of assessed which ones are the top ones to partner with going forward. We're wanting that best in class offering for our customers so they can make that bespoke mix of, using our in-house tools and then marrying that up with third-party providers as well. We're really flexible from our perspective with that on the roadmap.
I guess from a tech standpoint, some of the key focus is really about around one is portability of our solutions. So I mentioned with cloud native, we ultimately need a more portable solution. This allows us to then deploy, on premise or obviously in public cloud. Therefore, it doesn't matter where we need to deploy. So that's one aspect. Cost efficiency is a key thing in terms of looking at our current infrastructure and making some technology changes there. Or adding in different technology capability to make things more performant, or right sizing. If you've kind of been in the world of cloud for a while, when you get to a certain level of scale, the bill can get expensive. So how do you right size some of the workloads that we have? So we've been doing a lot of work in that, and that's all with the aim that we can bring effectively what I would call the total cost of ownership of the platform down to our end customer. We want to make sure that they're running as efficiently as possible. That's given us obviously a huge USP in terms of our core offering and capability. We've been working with some really smart partners who kind of pretty cutting edge technology. I don't know if I can do a shameless plug, but we've got we're at a partner called Cast AI. And they're fantastic. That's technology that we can run against our Kubernetes clusters, and what it does is it's using machine learning in real time to kind of right size your workloads. Super technology, great guys. But we felt the benefits of that, and our end customers have seen that from there's a reduced cost to serve here. So there's kind of that as a big push on the technology side of things. We then got obviously continued focus on our security and our cyber resilience. This is everything in terms of how we're kind of focusing more in terms of operational excellence. How do we kind of automate and tune everything in terms of what we do? And then I guess the third big angle for us in terms of, and we touched on it before, from a tech infrastructure, tech roadmap point of view, is around data. And we've got a rollout this year of a new data capability. So this is based on a technology called Databricks. It's based on Apache Spark. But what it does is it provides us with what's called a data lakehouse. And what this is bringing together key elements of data from ETL, so how do you get data into your systems, through to warehousing, how do you hold it, real-time analytics, and then leveraging aspects of AI and machine learning. And the key here is that, one, we can make all this, we talked about, we've got millions of of data points and records. Like how do we bring those aspects together, make that really easy to understand, but also leverage advancements in artificial intelligence and machine learning that will translate that into end product value, whether it's player health, we can spot behaviors, whether it's enhanced fraud detection, or it's just it's easier me as an operator or customer to be able to kind of speak to my data, understand what I've got, and then how do I leverage that to improve, their end market offering. So there's a lot of activity happening in there outside of sort of building new product features. So this is kind of all the stuff that sits below the waterline, but is crucial in terms of delivering value for our customers.
There are several threads from both of your answers on AI, machine learning, markets. I also had a question in my head about migration, but I'm just thinking we're at the sweet spot of 20 odd minutes for the podcast, so I'll leave it there. But in future, I will ask those questions. But
for sure.
Lovely to meet you both, Dan and Jess, and thank you very much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you, William.
Thank you very much, Will.
Pleasure. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed the podcast. If you want to watch more, why not subscribe to our channel somewhere here.